you need to know your weaknesses when it comes to writing so you can deal with those appropriately and then figure out how to improve your weaknesses and also play to your strengths. You, or perhaps whatever author you admire and one of your favorite authors, might be really, really good in some areas and not so good in other areas because that's just what happens. We all have strengths and weaknesses. Hey, it's Sam with another Friday video for you. I wanted to talk to you about this topic today that I just introduced. Won't give much of a personal update this time on my own project. I haven't made a lot of progress yet since last week. I still I know what I want to do to fix this introductory section that I've been revising, and I just need another probably week or two maybe to do it. And I'm hoping in a month maybe or something like that I might be able to restart querying because I was doing that a while back and I took a pause to do revisions. So anyway, hoping to restart querying in the foreseeable future. Anyway, I wanted to talk to you about knowing your weaknesses and kind of also the idea of there are writers we like who are really good at one thing and not so good at another thing. I kind of this kind of came to my attention the other week as I was talking about Star Wars with my family because you know I love Star Wars and we talk about Star Wars in my family. Um, and a classic example of what I'm talking about is of course George Lucas. George Lucas, I mean, if you watch Star Wars or any of his other movies, he's a creative genius. He's a visionary. Storytelling is great. Creativity is high up there. I realize there are some elements here that are not solely about writing. It's special effects and visuals because he's a movie maker. Watch the original Star Wars. Watch any of this. Um, the guy's a genius. He spawned a beloved, you know, billion-dollar franchise just from the three movies he did in decades ago. Obviously he's done other stuff too. He's also known for, um, but I mean, when it comes to storytelling, I guess world building, creativity, that kind of stuff, he's brilliant, and he's done a lot of stuff that works. You know what George Lucas is not good at? Dialogue. Yeah. Hopefully, yeah. Most you know that if you watch Star Wars like I have, you would know that too. Yeah, we were talking about how there was some video my wife sent me of like an Instagram reel or something of Mark Hamill in an interview, and he said how like he and Harrison Ford would like complain about the dialogue to George and ask him if they could change it because it's like if we can't change it because it's like if we had to say this like George is behind the scenes but it's us people are going to throw tomatoes at and stuff like that and Mark Hamill get this one line I don't remember what it is you can probably go look it up that was like it was in the original script and he convinced George to let him not say it because it was just it was not how people talk and it was kind of over expositiony and just all that kind of stuff. um Case in point, also Attack of the Clones. Um, Great story. Hey, buddy. So my little guy came in. Yeah. Hey, buddy. Did I do a video? So I'll see you in a little bit. Okay. Um, yeah. It was so Attack of the Clones. The prequels got lots of hate. It's George Lucas did those without much oversight, without much input from anyone else, and dialogue, specifically romantic dialogue, is not his forte, as we all discovered. There are some, I still believe there are some good elements to the story and the prequels and everything, um, but certainly some problems too. Why? Because he's human and he has some strengths in some areas and weaknesses in other areas, and that's just how it works. And anyway, having that conversation with my family, it reminded me of a passage from this book. This book is On Writing by Stephen King. I read through it last year. It reminded me of something similar Stephen King said, and I'll start quoting it from page 181. He's talking about dialogue, um, and he said, "Writers have different skill levels when it comes to dialogue. Your skills in this area can be improved, but as a great man once said, actually it was Clint Eastwood, a man's got to know his limitations. H.P. Lovecraft was a genius when it came to tales of the macabre, but a terrible dialogue writer. Many of you know H.P. Lovecraft, Call of Cthulhu, and several of those cosmic horror short stories that have become enshrined in our collective pop culture consciousness now. So King says H.P. Lovecraft was a terrible dialogue writer. He seems to have known it too, because in the millions of words of fiction he wrote, fewer than 5,000 are dialogue. So I've read some of his stories, not all of them or anything, but yeah, it's a lot of like it's more description. Um, in Lovecraft, it's like describing the events or describing the aliens or creatures or whatever it is they're dealing with. Um, Not a lot of dialogue. Okay, the following passage from The Color Out of Space, in which a dying farmer describes the alien presence which has invaded his well, showcases Lovecraft's dialogue problems. Folks, people just don't talk like this even on their deathbeds. So here is King quoting Lovecraft's poor dialogue. Nothing. The color. Oh, and by the way, it's like a bunch of ellipses in there. Like if I'm pausing, it's all these stilted ellipses. It burns, cold and wet, but it burns. It lived in the well. I seen it. A kind of smoke, just like the flowers last spring. The well shone at night. Everything alive. Sucked the life out of everything. In the stone. It must have come in that stone. Poisoned the whole place. Don't know what it wants. That round thing the men from the college dug out in the stone. It was that same color. Just the same, like the flowers and plants. Seeds. I seen it the first time this week. It beats down your mind and then gets you. Burns you up. It comes from some place where things ain't as they is here. One of them professors said so. Um, and this is King's commentary again, and so on and so forth in carefully constructed elliptical bursts of information. It's hard to say exactly what's wrong with Lovecraft's dialogue, other than the obvious. It's stilted and lifeless, brimming with country corn pone. Some place where what things ain't as they is here. So yeah, and I mean we've all seen movies and books like that where it's kind of cliche. Someone's hurt or dying, and so they speak in like these broken sentences. I don't know if that's not how people talk. Even on their deathbed. But it's like he's still trying. Like it was this huge paragraph. Like he's still giving and of like all like 2 or 3 or 5 words separated by ellipses. And anyway, and I think Lovecraft is also trying to give some exposition there. He's trying to explain to his reader what the creature or the color out of space is, but it's just like this is not the place to give exposition. Like people wouldn't try to describe in detail everything they saw. I mean maybe if someone asked them, maybe they would try if they were lucid enough. But it's just that's not the place for exposition or whatever else. Or trying to narrate what happened. I mean, if you're on your deathbed, you would probably think of like I don't know your family or ask someone to I mean maybe tell what happened, but like ask someone to send a message to your family or take care of something for you or like I don't know. There's lots of things you might say on your deathbed. I don't think it's any of that. So according to King, Lovecraft was a terrible dialogue writer, and yeah. I mean, from that brief sample, I agree. Um, and yet, Lovecraft was brilliant in other ways. Brilliant creative mind at creating monsters, horror, um, all kinds of, I guess, kind of emotional, horrific effects with words. This dialogue was not his strength. So I just want to point that out. 2 examples of writers who are really good at some things, but not so good at other things. In this case, dialogue. And I point that out because we all have weaknesses too, strengths and weaknesses in writing. Me personally, I've been told dialogue is one of my strengths, dialogue and character development. I know one of my weaknesses is world building and setting, and I've done videos on this before, but it just it doesn't come naturally to me. I might give like one sentence, I have a picture in my head, but like I might give one sentence of description, like oh they were on a busy city street and there were cars zooming by, and then I don't talk about and then I have a whole thing of dialogue and I don't talk about the setting again. That's kind of natural to me. Um, it's just what I got used to. My wife says because because I've read comic books for a long time, I'm kind of used to that. Like I'm used to having the picture there already, and then you don't have to describe the picture much. You just kind of do the dialogue. So maybe that's it. My strengths are in dialogue. My weaknesses are in creating a word picture and such like that. So and so I'm aware of that. That's at least one area where I'm weak, where it's not my inclination. Now, here's a question, and I mean we could talk about this a long time, but I won't today. But what do we do about your weaknesses? Okay, um, as writers, you do want to play to your strengths. I mean, you do want to do what you're strong in and stuff, and make sure you do that really well. Doesn't mean you can avoid your weaknesses entirely. That doesn't give you a license to say, well, I'm just not good at that. Won't do it. Yeah, your story will. If you're bad at dialogue, your story probably still needs some dialogue. If you're bad at setting and world building, like myself, your story still needs some setting and world building. So you do have to grow in this. I mean, and you may know it's not your strengths or it's not your forte, or you may never come naturally to you, but you still have to discipline yourself and learn, and get constructive feedback from others to help you grow in those areas, because your writing to be as whole and comprehensive as possible. So anyway, that's my talk to you today. Hopefully an encouragement. Hopefully, I mean, I guess the moral there is, even if you're struggling with one area, you might still be a great writer. You might just have different strengths and different weaknesses, and even some of our great writers have these weaknesses. So yeah, keep writing, keep working on your craft, know what your weaknesses are so you can improve them, and and you know and still make a good story, and have a great weekend. I'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.